Hello everyone and welcome back to another Storytime video. Today I am going to talk about a childhood operating system that was that I really loved, and I'm talking about this because Windows 11 officially released a couple weeks ago. Now, that childhood operating system that I'm thinking of is Windows XP. Windows XP is legendary in terms of my childhood. It is the first operating system I ever used, and I remember using it all the way up until Windows 7 came out, because my grandfather was my grandfather did not want to use Windows Vista, and at my house as a kid we had dial-up internet, so the computers we had would not have been able to really support Windows Vista in the first place, even if we could. Well, I'm not so sure that we could really afford Windows Vista at the time, when XP worked just fine for those couple years, or those 2 or 3 years in between Vista coming out and 7 coming out. But I have had the chance to kind of go back and relive some of Windows XP, because, well, I have mentioned before on this channel that I study IT management. Now, of course, we have talked about virtual machines and stuff like that. We talked about that in A+. Now, one thing that my best friend in the class has figured out is how to get XP for the VMware that we sometimes use in class. And so sometimes I will jump in to Windows XP on the VM and mess around in there. I have actually tried to set up a dial-up connection just for the heck of it with the virtual machine. I don't believe it'll be successful, but I figure I would try it. Sorry. But I figure that I would try it and see what happens. And I think it was 4 weeks ago, someone donated an old, and I mean an old laptop, to the class. The laptop is 20 years old, and so it was for Windows XP. It was like it was like back when Windows XP first came out. So this thing actually had USB ports. Well, 2 of them actually. And it had an RJ45 port. That's the Ethernet port, in case you don't know. But it has an RJ11 port for modems, and it has a floppy disk drive. You know, the 3.5-inch floppies. It has a floppy disk drive that size, and the volume for the computer is a dial on the side. Yes, it is a volume dial on the side. However, I hate the keyboard because there is no the number pad on the right side of your keyboard. That is not there. And the Windows key that is normally in between your function key and your Alt key is all the way, I think it's next to the backspace button. Yeah, I think it's next to backspace. So, but anyway, so I have tried to fire that up before, but there's no hard drive. Periodically, I will mess around with it along with my best friend in the class. That same best friend that helped me get the Windows XP VM. And by the way, in case you don't know what a VM is, a virtual machine, it's where you can download this thing onto your computer, where it allows you to have another operating system like Windows 2000 or Windows 95, something like that, where it is separate from your actual device. So it's part of your system, but it's a separate it's hard for me to explain. It's separate from your regular system, though. But yeah, so, and then the computer, I'm still trying to get the old computer to run. It needs a hard drive, but unfortunately it's a Toshiba, and I think it's a proprietary hard drive, which means that it's specific to HP. But my friend and I are trying to figure out ways around that. And but at first it needed an operating system. So, but thankfully my teacher has this little binder of boot disks. So, assuming the computer tower has a CD drive, you can take one of those boot disks, put it in the computer, and from the BIOS, you can select to run from the boot disk and run, say, Windows XP, which is what I put in the CD drive. so that it would detect an operating system. I know one of my old computers, I had a Windows 8 computer that had a CD drive. I could have put Ubuntu in there, I could have put Windows 95 in there, and I could have booted to the other operating system through the BIOS. But yeah, so Windows XP is, well, it was very fun to me as a child, and it still is. Windows XP was freaking amazing. And by the way, I do kind of feel like uh Windows 11 will wind up similar to Windows Vista, because Windows 10 was around for 5 years as the primary operating system, and Windows XP was not quite the primary operating system for 6 years. So it too was the primary operating system for 5 years. And with all the requirements that, well, there's one specific. I think it's that your computer has to have TPM 2.0, or your motherboard does. But I do feel like Windows 11 will kind of end up like Windows XP, or not XP, but Windows Vista, in the sense that Windows Vista was ahead of its time, where it took up way too much memory, and so people thought that Windows Vista was crappy because it made their computer run so slowly, and that it didn't work out. But in reality, it was just ahead of its time, like I said, and it was, I think it still is, the least used Windows operating system. But like I was getting at, I believe that because of the system requirements for Windows 11, that it too might be ahead of its time, and that it might become the least used operating system. I know that I think that a lot of people will continue to use Windows 10 like they did getting on 15 years ago with Windows XP. God, it makes me feel so old to think that XP was 15 years ago. But anyway, if history repeats itself, then the Windows version after 11 should be absolutely amazing, because Windows 7 was absolutely incredible. And that came right after XP. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about Windows XP a bit and show it some love. But yeah, by the way, the laptop, the old laptop, the 20-year-old laptop, has an infrared sensor. It actually has an infrared sensor. It's incredible. But anyway, uh yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say about Windows XP. I do remember playing the crap out of pinball on Windows XP in school, though. Uh, Whenever we could play games on the computers at school as a kid, I do definitely remember playing pinball as a kid. Those were some fun times, man. Those were the days when you didn't have to worry about uh, a job or trying to get a career or taxes or getting a significant other. Man, those were some simple times. But I'm not trying to jump down that road. But yeah, so I think that Windows XP is the best operating system that I've used. I have not used 2000 or Windows Me or Windows 98 or 95. But one thing I would love to mess around with in a VM is actually DOS. I get that DOS is just command line, basically, where there's no GUI. But I confuse some of you. But some of you will be like, oh yeah! The command line's alright, but I'm a visual person. I'm not a command line person. I don't hate it. I would just rather use the GUI. Although the command line is fun to mess around in. But anyway, so I'd love to mess around with MS-DOS in the VM one day. I might get that going. But the thing is that whenever this semester for us ends, or the trimester for us ends in late August, and we go back to school in September, they're going to upgrade us to Windows 11. Now, use upgrade with quotations around it, but I don't know if our hard drives will be cleaned out. Like, I don't know if we will lose all the data that we have there. Now, it won't be a big deal to me, but I would rather not have to reinstall all the virtual machines that I have installed on the computer at school. Aside from XP, we have, well, it's just basically me, and it's just basically my friend and I that have XP. We have a Windows 10 VM just to mess around with. One of my classmates, whenever Windows 11 leaked, he found a Windows 11 virtual machine and put it on the class NAS that we downloaded it from. So we have Windows 11, we have Ubuntu, We have Kali Linux. I can't think of any more that we have, but I would rather not reinstall those if I would not have to. But I don't know, I might have to make an update video in terms of what I can do in the Windows XP VM, because sometimes there's downtime in the class where we can mess around with technology, where my teacher doesn't mind as long as we're doing something class related like that. And also the old laptop too. But there's other little side projects that I want to do. Like, I want to I'm probably going to bring in my old computer soon, and I'm probably going to take it apart and look at it. Just kind of thoroughly look at it and, well, not see what made it tick, because I know what made it tick, but just look at it and see exactly what it had on it. But yeah, so that's all that I have today. I appreciate everyone listening this far in. I know that this wasn't entirely about XP and that this was kind of all over the place. But, well, kind of. Not to belabor the point, but I appreciate you having the patience, nonetheless, to hear me talk for 22 minutes about this stuff. It certainly means a lot to me. And so yes, guys, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video. And till next storytime video, I will see you later. Goodbye, guys! Thank you all for watching.